Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. We are going through every single trade of the 2026 deadline. Great to have everybody on board. Coming up next, Network 216. Every single trade in 20 seconds. Let's do it. All right, everybody, welcome. This is Across the Cavs on Network 216. Zach Weiss with you on this Thursday afternoon. We're going through every single trade. It's been a busy deadline, which for the Cavs started a little bit early with the DeAndre Hunter move. So I do want to note that move is the one we're going to start with. There were a couple that happened earlier than that, but we're starting with that trade. Again, every trade. This is obviously a Cavs-centric pod. We're getting to every single deal. Start out. We had one move on February 1st. We had one on the 31st of January. And after that, it just took off. So without further ado, every single trade. Here we go. January 31st. Cleveland Cavaliers, the Sacramento Kings, and the Chicago Bulls. 3-team trade. This is the only trade so far where every player involved has been able to get playing time on the team they landed with. Cavs get Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis. Bulls get Dario Saric in 2 seconds, one from the Cavs and one from the Kings. And the Kings themselves get DeAndre Hunter. We saw firsthand last night, DeAndre Hunter struggled mightily in his Kings debut. He shot 3 of 11. He had 5 fouls in his first 23 minutes of court time. They got him the ball in the first possession of the day. DeAndre knocked in a 3 and then kind of fell off. He only grabbed 1 rebound over the course of the game. Certainly a forgettable debut. On the other side of the court was Ty Jerome, who had 28 points and 7 assists in only 20 minutes, his 3rd game back from an extensive injury. So I'm going to give the Kings a C+ for their addition of DeAndre Hunter. Let's give them a front court addition, but of course he may struggle to fit as he did at times in Cleveland. Chicago didn't have to give up any players. They picked up 2 second-round picks. This is an easy A for them. No question. They're able to reroute Saric. They made a bunch of trades. We're going to be talking a lot about the Bulls today. And then the Cavs, Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis. This is a home run. Dennis Schroeder brings them toughness at the guard spot. That's been missing. Not obviously Craig Porter defensively and driving does bring them some energy and some toughness, but Dennis Schroeder does a lot for the Cavs. So love that addition. And Keon Ellis, 3-and-D, hit 2 threes, couple steals. Strong effort in his first showing as a Cleveland Cavalier last night in a 33-point win over the Clippers. It's an A for the Cavs on this one, no question. Hunter was struggling. His numbers are way down for effectiveness, even though the points per game remain the same. And they improved defensively with Keon coming in as a depth piece and occasional 20-minute-a-night guy. Trade number 2, Hawks and Blazers. The Atlanta Hawks, this is a smaller trade, but we're going to get into it here. The Atlanta Hawks getting Duop Reith, who was already waived. They got 2 second-round picks. Blazers getting Vit Krejci. For Portland, they took a guy that was out for the season and turned it into a wing that's serviceable. So I'll give them a B. Vit Krejci, up and down, not a dominant player, but can have some good stretches for Atlanta, as he did. And he's hoping to do for Portland. Hawks freed up a roster spot with this one and also brought in 2 second-round picks. Krejci hadn't really been in the rotation. It's a B. B for both teams. This trade really doesn't swing the needle. You bring in extra second-round picks, you use them in trades. It's nothing all that crazy. It's nothing we haven't seen before as far as, teams just deciding to move the second-round picks. So, many more important trades happen than Vit Krejci, Duop Reith with a couple second-rounders. Here's where it starts to get fun. This was 2 days ago. We're up to February 3rd. The Jazz and Grizzlies. Utah gets Jaren Jackson, John Konchar, and Vince Williams. Memphis gets Kyle Anderson, Walter Clayton, first-round pick this past year, George Niang, who they have already waived. Bye, George. And Taylor Hendricks. Do wish Niang the best, former Cavalier. And they also get 3 first-round picks. So for Utah, this is a lot. It's a big swing to go for a guy like Jaren Jackson. This one came out of nowhere, by the way. This was certainly an intriguing move for Utah. Williams in his 4th year, Conchar solid. They're all playable guys, so you'll get serviceable minutes the rest of the way. Although Jackson, I believe, injured himself in his last Grizzlies game, so I don't even know if he's going to play this year. Also in this trade was Jock Landale to Utah, but as we'll get to, he was rerouted to Atlanta, or he'll wear number 31 again. For Memphis, Kyle Anderson only played in a handful of games, but was solid. You get 2 former lottery picks in Clayton and Hendricks, who should be able to eat up a lot of minutes on a shorthanded team. And 3 first-round picks. I mean, 7 first-round picks for Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson. They weren't able to move Ja Morant today, but the rebuild is certainly looking pretty good. I'm going to give Utah a B+, just because of the defensive ability of Jaren Jackson on the worst defensive team in the league this year. They needed somebody that could come in and do something. Obviously, Walker Kessler's been out. He's going to share the court with Walker Kessler and Lauri Markkanen and Ace Bailey, Keontae George next year, and what's going to be one of the most explosive starting fives when they're all on the court. It's going to be a big win. But you give up a lot of picks. Not that they need first round. How many years do they need lottery picks? Like how many lottery picks do the Utah Jazz need? They've got so many right now on the roster. They had picks to burn here, and so they did. I'm going to give Memphis an A-. The only reason it's an A-, none of these guys are stars. You're not getting any major playmakers here, but Walter Clayton has potential. He's had some solid games for Utah. Hasn't been given 30-minute nights, but he usually comes in, starts the second and fourth quarter. Saw him in person at a Nets game this year where he played really well. So he does some good things for you. Hendricks taking a flyer on a lottery pick that's still coming off an injury and struggling to stay on the court and get big minutes. The picks are all that matter, though. Clayton, Hendricks, and picks. That's the long-term get here. So B+ for Utah, A- for Memphis. Chicago, Minnesota, Detroit. This trade set up another trade for the Wolves. The Bulls got Jaden Ivey and Mike Conley, who is also rerouted. We'll get to that. Wolves got cap relief, got some cash. Pistons got Kevin Huerter and Dario Saric. Big dub for the Pistons. Jaden Ivey hadn't fully returned to form this year. Now they get one of the sharper shooters in the league, Kevin Huerter, who made the game winner on D Rose night. Dario Saric is just another big man behind Paul Reed, Isaiah Stewart, and Jalen Duren, but you never know if guys are going to go down. Jaden Ivey is one of many guards acquired by the Bulls. On this trade alone for Chicago, because they're able to use Conley in another trade, I'll give them a B. Ivey still has a lot of potential. He can flash, and he'll get a bigger opportunity to do it in Chicago than he would have on the number 1 seeded Pistons. So we'll give them a B. Minnesota, I mean, they freed up a spot and traded Mike Conley, who is a great veteran leader, fantastic veteran leader, but he was shooting the ball abysmally. So give them an A. They got the raw, and they could also bring him back, by the way, because Conley was traded twice. This is the Zydrunas Ilgauskas rule states if you're traded and then bought out or waived, you cannot re-sign. That happened with Big Z in 2010. But then there's the Andrew Bogut rule of 2017. The Warriors moved Bogut. Another team moved Bogut, and he was actually eligible to re-sign because he was moved again. So, yeah, that's what we got for this one. Detroit, B+. Chicago, B. Minnesota, A. Huerter's just not a home run player. There are other shooters that they had been targeting, or supposedly they'd been targeting. But it's solid. You do trade a younger guy for a slightly older guy, but you get a guy that's going to make your threes. So, Bulls and Celtics. This was an intriguing one. Anthony Simons in a second for Vucevic in a second. Anthony Simons was always probably going to be a rental for Boston this year, coming over for Drew Holiday. Had some monster nights off the bench, including a 39-point performance. Shot the lights out. Improved defensively. As for Nikola Vucevic, he's kind of been the same player for a very long time now. Ended up with just 12-2 in what turned out to be his final game for the Bulls. He spent 4 full years and parts of 2, so that's a total of 6 seasons in Chicago. Vooch over 1,000 games in the NBA. 378 of them were spent with the Bulls. Just 1 playoff trip. Vucevic has never advanced in the playoffs. 1 year in Philly, followed by 8.5 years in Orlando, followed by parts of 6 years in Chicago. Now he's going to start for the Celtics. I'm going to give Chicago a B+. It's been hard to offload Vucevic for so many years. They finally did it. So for that, nicely done. They probably thought he was worth more. They tried to trade for Jared Allen, move some first-round picks. Didn't work. So they bring in a guard instead. So B+. Boston, I mean, considering that he was a rental and looking at the centers they have, A-. Vucevic, again, not perfect. Won't fix your defense, although Boston's a great defensive team. Maybe it'll help him buy in better. But he can spread the floor. Fantastic rebounder and floor spacer. So more room for Jalen, D. White, Pritch. And there's the grade. By the way, Pritchard had been starting the whole year. Simon's off the bench. They moved Pritchard into a reserve role right after the trade. He's come off the bench in back-to-back days. So interesting to see if that sticks for the Celtics. They were shorthanded yesterday, so Ron Harper Jr. actually made his first start of the year. They also converted Amari Williams. All right, here's the trade. The trade that for the Cavs, for the Clippers, this is the one. It's just like, this really happened. Yeah. James Harden for Darius Garland in a second. It's been an emotional period trying to make sense of it. It certainly was an odd move. There is no question about it. However, it also appears that Donovan Mitchell's happy about it. Darius Garland, very sad, but, going to have to deal with it and move to L.A. Garland, the 2-time All-Star, 7 years with the Cavs, now goes to L.A., who just traded Ivica Zubac, a move we will get to. And they got Benedict Mathurin. We'll get to that. For the Cavs, you acquired 36-year-old James Harden, an 11-time All-Star. Highest points per game in 6 years, 8 assists a night. You pair him with Donovan Mitchell, and that's an electric pairing. It is what James Harden can do on the basketball court with the ball in his hands and getting to the line and being aggressive and physical. He can frustrate you as a defender. Certainly a little more size than they have with Darius Garland. But it was a big surprise that Garland was actually moved and that it did really happen. So grading this one, I mean, both these guys are going to be starting, on their new team. So let's go for the Clippers. You get a 10 years younger guard, although he's not going to be playing for at least 2 or 3 more weeks at the earliest. Give the Clippers an A. They got younger. They don't have any young stars at all. Now they got Darius Garland. And obviously, the Cleveland grade. Been waiting for this one. Let's go B+. Could turn into a higher mark. You still traded a young star for a much older player who's had fit issues with a bunch of teams and just has forced his way off of so many squads. And if this move is about freeing up even more cap for the summer to actually sign somebody big and new, well, I guess we'll see, won't we? B+ for the Cavs, straight A for the Clippers. Here was the most out of nowhere trade of the day. This happened yesterday. Wizards get Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell, Dante Exum, and Jaden Hardy. The Mavs get Malachi Branham, Chris Middleton, A.J. Johnson, Marvin Bagley III, 2 first-round picks, a 2026 from the Thunder and a 2030 from the Warriors, and 3 seconds, 1 in 26, 1 27, 1 29. Wizards got Anthony Davis. which sets them up for next year. He won't play again this year. He'll pair with Trae Young, something the Hawks were trying to do to get Anthony Davis there. So, I mean, the Mavs traded their Luka Doncic haul, or half of it at least, for these picks. AD probably would have been worth a lot more if he'd been healthier. Maybe he wouldn't have been traded if he'd been healthier. Grades, we're going to give the Wizards a B because we have no idea what AD is going to bring. And if he's going to be on the court healthy at any point during his tenure. Because 2 years ago, he was very healthy for the Lakers. It's been rough since then. It's not gone well. He's not been able to stay on the court. So there's really no prospects that they bring in, young guys with them. They just got D'Lo, Exum, and Hardy, who the Mavs wanted to move off of. Exum's out for the year. D'Lo's been getting DNPs for 6 weeks. Jaden Hardy was also getting DNPs. As for the Mavs, they got Malachi Branham, a young guy from the former first-round pick of the Spurs. He's already been moved. We'll get to that. Chris Middleton probably going to get bought out and join a contending team, you'd have to think. A.J. Johnson's on his third team already in a year and a half after being the 23rd pick last year. And Marvin Bagley was picked before Luka Doncic, and now he's actually playing in Dallas. How funny that is. We'll give the Mavs a C+. The picks are great. Although it's the Thunder first-round pick. I mean, very late first. It's still an asset. They're trying to rebuild now, around Cooper Flagg so that they can go do some winning and all that fun jazz. So, but it's a C+. You traded AD and got nothing that can help you right now. And no players that can turn into stars that are currently in the league. These first-round picks will not be in the lottery. You can find talent anywhere, but even still. Brandon got moved for Tyus Jones. We're going to get to that. Middleton's going. He was just a salary matcher. It's just Johnson and Bagley, neither of who has really impressed beyond playing some okay basketball. So, yeah, not really great grades for either team on this trade. C+, C+. Because if AD doesn't play, what's the point for the Wizards? And for the Mavs, we'll see what the draft is. They also have Kyrie still here. Do they want more young guys? Don't they want to get some vets? I really don't know what they're trying to do other than, well, they traded an injured guy. This trade baffled me. It's very confusing. Thunder got Jared McCain. Don't know what the Sixers were thinking. Everything's been about the apron. The CJ McCollum rules, we'll call them. The Sixers, though, did get the Rockets' first-round pick and 3 second-round picks just for Jared McCain. He was going to be the Rookie of the Year last year based on his torrid start. Then he goes down. He's having a hard time getting on the floor this year. Now he's on the Thunder. Jared McCain is suddenly on the fast track to winning an NBA championship. So, odd one. I mean, this is an easy A for the Thunder. It's more depth. A+. Jared McCain coming in on a 40-11 team? Yeah, absolutely. And Sixers, nice to get a pick, but you got Embiid, you got Maxey here, you got Edgecombe. What are you trying to do exactly? They also moved Eric Gordon, and they freed up multiple roster spots at this deadline so that they could convert Jabari Walker and Dominic Barlow to standard contracts. But you traded Jared McCain? He's so young. He's 21. You don't need... Sixers get an F. I'll make it a D. They did get picks. It's a D+. D+ for the Sixers. Really nice to get picks, but Jared McCain will help you more than that first-round pick next year will. So, I'm not sure what you're doing here, Daryl Morey. Bulls and Hornets talked about guys that were moved and may resurface. Hornets get Kobe White and Mike Conley. Bulls get Colin Sexton, Ousmane Dieng, who has moved again, and 3 second-round picks. Kobe White is a baller, 7 years in Chicago. Improved mightily over the last few, playing a larger role for the first time. As mentioned here, this was Mike Conley's second move. Ousmane Dieng had also already been moved to Charlotte. He got moved again, by the way, after this trade, so stay tuned. Bulls ended up with 7 second-round picks from 2 trades today. Sexton is the third guard we mentioned that they acquired along with Ivy and Simons. They didn't move any of them. They're all still there. Sexton becomes a free agent in the summer. So does Simons. Let's see what they try and do. They also have Josh Giddey and Trey Jones. So they traded Ayo Dosunmu, which we will get to. But nice job, Charlotte. A real sixth man. No knock on Colin, but Coby White a bit more valuable at this stage as a scorer, playmaker, an athletic guard. For the Bulls, young bull is a young bull. Colin Sexton. 8th season in the league. 5 in Cleveland. Couple in Utah. Rather, 4 in Cleveland. 3 in Utah. Half in Charlotte. And he's finishing out his 4-year, $72 million deal in Chicago, trying to compete for the play-in spot. They got a lot of new players on the Bulls. It'll be fun to try to keep up with who's available and who's not. The 3 picks are nice, so we're going to give the Hornets an A-. Coby White. Good stuff. Bulls, A- as well. You did trade your scoring guard for another scoring guard, and you got 3 picks out of it. Good stuff. Good move, AK. Arturas Karnisovas. Nets, Raptors, Clippers. Brooklyn brings in Ochai Agbaji, a 2032 second-round pick and some cash. Raptors got Chris Paul, who can now sign wherever he wants before he finishes out his career. This is a retirement tour. He's been inactive since the Clipper debacle. Clippers got some money here. So, pretty much the Clippers freed up a roster spot, got rid of Paul. Easy. There's never going to get a player back here. Raptors freeing up a roster spot. Not really much. Traded Agbaji. Give the Nets a B+. They didn't have to trade anything, and they acquire a future pick and a former lottery pick, Ochai Agbaji, who started out in Cleveland, got traded to the Jazz, then goes to Toronto, and now Brooklyn. Good job, Brooklyn. Hawks and Jazz. This is just flipping a guy. Jazz free up a roster spot, cash considerations. Hawks get Jock Landale, A++. He's been really serviceable for those Grizzlies this year. Jock Landale, 11 points, 7 rebounds a game. He's hitting 51% of his shots, 38% of his threes. Had a couple of 20-point games in late January, his final game as a Grizzly. He struggled a bit. That struggled in both games against Minnesota. The Aussie brings a lot to the table for this team and should do well. So it'll be fun to see. Jock Landale going to be a nice backup for the Hawks. They also moved on from Kristaps Porzingis, so Landale probably the formal backup for Okongwu. They also have Christian Koloko on a 2-way. See if they convert him before the end of the year. Cavs and Jazz. This is just Cleveland freeing up a roster spot. Lonzo Ball got traded to Utah with 2 seconds, which is really unfortunate because you swapped Okoro for Ball. You have to trade 2 seconds to get rid of Ball, who just had a forgettable stint in Cleveland. So we'll see where Lonzo Ball winds up if a team picks him up. Rumor has it Charlotte could take a flyer. He's not playing there. Because some said the Lakers. I mean, they technically have a need for a backup guard now. Although Cam Thomas got waived today. If anyone missed that, I'm really only covering these trades, but Cam Thomas got waived. Haywood Highsmith also got waived by the Nets, but that might also have been to bring in the guys they traded for today. Because there's a few other players that the Nets got we're going to get to. Although, did we write that one down? Yeah, there's a lot more trades here. We're going to speed this one along. So we're 24 minutes in, and we still have a whole lot of trades. We're going to give Utah an A+. They got 2 second-round picks, so the Cavs could dump Lonzo Ball. The Cavs get an F. 2 picks. Lonzo, come on. Good luck wherever you go. Charlotte and Orlando. Orlando having to trade 2 second-round picks to offload Tyus Jones. That's not good. He just did not play well this year. Talk about the struggles of Lonzo Ball. Tyus Jones averaged 3 points and 2 assists on 34% shooting, 29% from 3. But he actually did make a 3 in his final 3 games. But yeah, Tyus Jones was okay for the Suns, was decent on the Wizards, long runs in Memphis and Minnesota, improved his game. He just down. It's only 29, but Tyus Jones would get traded again. Charlotte doesn't have to do anything but trade cash, and they get picks, so that's another A. Orlando does free themselves of Tyus Jones, so an A for both teams. Hawks and Warriors. What a weird one here. Buddy Hield and Jonathan Kuminga to the Hawks for Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, he's barely been on the court. Now Kristaps joins his old pal Al Horford, who he won a championship with in Boston on the Warriors. They probably won't play as many minutes together as they did previously, although they were certainly formidable when healthy. The key word is when. The Hawks got Jonathan Kuminga, who could be a real impressive sixth man for them, assuming he is able to play in the next couple days, get healthy before the All-Star break. And he brings a lot. Buddy Hield's just replacing Luke Kennard, who got flipped to the Lakers in a move we'll get to. Warriors getting Porzingis. So, we'll see what happens, right? With this one, when Porzingis is actually going to play, he's only played 16 games this year. It's been real tough the last couple of seasons, which is why big reason why Boston moved off him for ultimately RJ Lewis. It was salary space, really, because they traded him for Niang, and then they traded Niang for RJ Lewis. They actually cut RJ Lewis, who was on a two-way. So I'm going to give the Warriors a C, because who knows what they're going to get out of Kristaps. No one knows. Not even Kristaps knows. Give the Hawks a B+, just because of the unknown of Kuminga. Hopefully he's able to fit in and just kind of go to work. Very outspoken with the Warriors. Bad relationship with Steve Kerr. Hopefully he and Quinn Snyder can talk early on. Hash it out. Buddy Hield is Buddy Hield. He's been struggling a bit, but what is it, Splash Cousin? Hopefully replaces what they're getting from Kennard from the three-point line and can play well off of Jalen Johnson and CJ McCollum. Quick one here, Raptors and Warriors. Trace Jackson Davis. And actually, yeah, Kuminga could start, Bobby. It's possible. I think it depends what they believe about Risache now in his second year. You might not want to drain all of his confidence by sending him into a reserve role. But we'll see. He's got to come off the bench initially, just as CJ McCollum is coming off the bench right now, and we'll see what the rotation looks like come playoff time. So I like Nikhil and Dyson Daniels in that backcourt. Trace Jackson Davis for a 2026 second. He went from being a 58th overall pick to being a solid guy for 2.5 years. Got some playoff minutes, spot starts. TJD, more than they could have asked for. The Warriors, for the second time this year, have a guy picked almost at the end of the draft, getting real minutes, and Will Richard. So for the Raptors, it's just a depth big, because who the heck knows if Jakob Poeltl's going to play again this year or at all? What's happening with him? As for the Warriors, they get a pick for the draft for a guy that wasn't going to play any minutes. Give both teams a B. Wolves and Bulls. Ayo Dosunmu and Julian Phillips to the Wolves. This is now we start today's trades. For Rob Dillingham, Leonard Miller in 4 seconds. I mean, the Bulls got another guard. Hey, Rob Dillingham. Top 10 pick, could not get the court, was being outshined by Bones Highland, who was almost out of the NBA after being out of rotations for 2 years. Dosunmu was a big-time guy for the Bulls, having a career year. Now the Minnesota's got a 7th man to play with Naz Reid off that bench. Julian Phillips, just a depth piece here. The Bulls get 4 second-round picks for a guy that worked his way into a talented player. Very nice return for Chicago. Wolves get an A-. They got their 6th man while trading a disappointing lottery pick without having to give up anything insane. But for the Bulls, the 4 second-round picks give them trade leverage in the years to come. So we'll also give them, we'll give them a B+. Good job. Hawks and Lakers, Gabe Vincent in a 2032 second-round pick for Luke Kennard. Luke Kennard is hitting almost 50% of his threes this year. He's having a 50-40-90 season right now. He doesn't shoot the ball very often, but he does lead the league in three-point percentage. Playing off of LeBron, Reeves, Luka, whichever guy he's subbing out, he's going to come in and get a lot of open looks. To trade the disappointing Gabe Vincent and get a guy like Kennard back is solid, and only having to trade a second-round pick 6 years from now to move off the Vincent contract. Beautiful work, Rob Pelinka. Luke Kennard is a great fit. It's an A+. Goodbye, Gabe Vincent for Atlanta. They trade Kennard, but as mentioned, they already got Buddy Hield. Plus, they bring in a pick. So we'll give them a B. Bucks, Sixers, Bulls. Really nothing crazy about this trade other than big man for Chicago. The Bucks end up with Nigel Hayes-Davis. The Suns get Cole Anthony and Amir Coffey. And the Bulls get Ousmane Dieng and Nick Richards. Nick Richards might be starting now after not getting many minutes for the Suns this year. It's a busy day for Ousmane Dieng getting the Luke Ridnour getting passed around treatment. Cole Anthony and Amir Coffey, who knows what will happen with them in Phoenix. Cole Anthony has not gotten very many minutes over the last 2 years in the NBA between the Bucks and Magic, although he has played well when he has been on the court. So we'll see where he lands. Nigel Hayes-Davis returned to the NBA after a 7-year hiatus this year. So good for him for getting on the court in Phoenix. The Bucks decided to keep Giannis, so we'll see what that roster does end up looking like with if Hayes-Davis gets on the floor. What happens there? So we'll give the Bulls the Bulls don't have to trade anything in this. They were just a team picking up guys. Give them an A-. They got Nick Richards. They traded all their bigs. They got a new one. So A-, Nick Richards. And then Ousmane Dieng on his 4th team of the day. Give the Suns a B-. They picked up 2 new guys and traded Hayes-Davis, who wasn't doing much. The Bucks freed up a roster spot. They don't really have any two-way standouts, though. So not really much here for the Bucks. I'll give them a C. By the way, just realized I missed the trade sequentially. Gershon Yabusele went to the Bulls for Dalen Terry. There was also a pick involved, I believe. Yabusele is a nice ad for Chicago because he'll get some run. He hadn't been playing for the Knicks. He's a big body, floor spacer, and he dunked on LeBron James once, so he's got street cred. Dalen Terry got moved again and is now a Pelican. The Knicks moved him in the Jose Alvarado trade, which actually is 2 trades away on my list here. We're getting toward the end. We got 7 trades left to get to, so don't go anywhere. Appreciate everybody rocking here on trade deadline day. Celtics and Jazz. Utah getting to add Chris Boucher. Boston picked up a roster spot, tax relief, which they used to give Amari Williams a 2-way deal. So good for Amari Williams. He played well over the last few weeks. And then now he's got his spot. Good stuff. Amari Williams, 46th overall pick. Guaranteed contract. And Utah takes a flyer on Chris Boucher. Their weird roster year continues. Give them a B. Boston didn't trade any players or bring anything back. Just a roster spot. So C+. Knicks and Pels. Jose Alvarado. Grand Theft Alvarado to New York for Dalen Terry in 2 seconds. Found out that Miles McBride, Deuce, is going to be having surgery. He's going to miss a lot of time. Jose Alvarado should get instant playing time. Going to become a thorn in the side of many. He and Josh Hart bringing that energy, effort. And the defensive end going to frustrate many. Let's give the Knicks an A. They needed really an enforcing guard, especially with Deuce on the sideline and maybe another guy to help Tyler Kolak a bit, who does give them good minutes when he's out there. As for the Pels, Dalen Terry in 2 seconds. I mean, kind of shocking. This is the only trade the Pelicans made. They really kept Trey Murphy. They kept Zion, Nisi, Bay, Poole. They didn't move anybody. They're going to buy anyone out? What a weird day. What a weird one for the Pels, who have the worst record and no picks. So, Knicks get an A. Pelicans get a C. There really wasn't an A haul they could get. 2 second-round picks and Dalen Terry doesn't help them win anything right now. And because they don't have a pick and they didn't get any picks, they have to try to win. Because what's the point of tanking? You're not even going to be able to draft. You're just doing it for the love of the game. But actually, there's no love there. Nets and Celtics. This is a huge win for Brooklyn. Maybe one of the biggest one-sided trades of the day. It was Josh Minott for free. He's a 23-year-old wing that was starting games for Boston and dominating early on before some injuries took over. Josh Minott got big minutes ahead of Hugo Gonzalez and Jordan Walsh before they kind of usurped him in that rotation. Minott's only 23. It's his 3rd team now in 2 years, but Good value to be had here. And Josh Minot, who's no longer a teammate of Luka Garza for the first time in his career. Brooklyn gets an A++. Minot's athletic. He's tough. He'll play right away for the Nets. All right, we got 4 trades left. Only one big one, really. The Nets also added Hunter Tyson and a future second-round pick from the Denver Nuggets. Hunter Tyson is 25 years of age. He's in his 3rd year in Denver. Appeared in 90 total contests. Really hasn't been an impact guy. He's only shooting 27% this year, 38% last year. He's a floor spacing forward who can knock in a few shots. Might get some run for the Nets. Think like a Tosan Uwoma. The British forward who got some run for the Nets last year, maybe similar. Nuggets pick up a second-round pick for this coming year, the less favorable between the Hawks and Clippers. Nets get their future pick. I mean, B for both teams. Nuggets free up a roster spot. They didn't really make any other moves. And the Nets get a player. So the Grizzlies got Eric Gordon from the Sixers, and they actually decided to keep him. They waived George Niang to make room for Eric Gordon. They picked up a 2032 pick. The Sixers just freed up a roster spot to convert Dominic Barlow. It did take a second-round pick to do it. Barlow's had a real strong year for Philly. We'll give them a B+ because they got rid of Eric Gordon, who was adding no value to that roster. The Grizzlies just take on Gordon with a pick. B-. Nothing crazy there. Pacers and Clippers. This is the trade that will have an instant impact on next season. Ivica Zubac's going to Indiana with Kobe Brown for Ben Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson. And here's an interesting stipulation with the first-round pick Indiana traded. If it's not between 5 and 9, then Indiana will get to keep the pick. And it would then become a 2031 unprotected first. That would be part of the trade. They also got a 2029 unprotected first-round pick. So Ben Mathurin is a sharp scorer. I'll be bringing it from the wing position. Probably going to jump right in as a starting shooting guard now with Isaiah Jackson. Depth at the big man spot now that Big Zoo is gone. Now they just got Jan Kovac Niederhauser and Brook Lopez. That's it. They kept Kawhi, so they're clearly not trying to lose all their games. Now they have Indiana's picks. They could try to win if they want. And then that's it for them. Ben Mathurin will be great. Zubac, that's an elite center right there. They didn't have it when Miles Turner left. They were trying to replace him by committee. It's been a disaster. Now you get Zubac in. A real strong interior presence who should be real nice with Tyrese Halliburton next season. A for the Pacers. What do they really have to do with picks? They got their squad already together. They went to the finals last year. And for the Clippers, you get Mathurin. Hopefully you get this pick 5 through 9. You're lucky enough for Indiana to fall there. And you get another one in a few years. We'll give them a B. We'll switch this to an A if the pick conveys, but it's a long shot. And the last move of the day was a simple one. Malachi Branham for Tyus Jones. Why did the Mavericks want Tyus Jones with the year he's had? Is he going to play? They did trade 4 guards. They brought in A.J. Johnson, too. Branham is certainly better, but interesting choice. Malachi Branham is a Maverick. Malachi Branham is a Hornet. He might get some second unit run. He can now tell Josh Green and Grant Williams about that time he was a Dallas Maverick for a few seconds. But yeah, that's the move. That's it. That's the deadline. James Harden's a Cavalier. Anthony Davis is a Wizard. Jaren Jackson is a Jazz man now. It was an exciting deadline, a weird deadline. Probably hoped for a bit more, to be honest. We got nothing in the last 40 minutes, which is certainly unusual for the trade deadline. But, all right. Zach Weiss with you, Across the Calf, Network 216, trade deadline special. We're back again real soon. Cleveland plays 2 nights from now. James Harden debut against the Sacramento Kings. Peace out, everybody.